Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Deliberate Indifference. Today, I am Deb Keither, and I am joining today or recording today talking about Milwaukee Public Schools and a recent audit that was publicized. It was conducted by the Governor Tony Evers' office, who hired the auditing company MGT to conduct audits on Milwaukee Public Schools. And we have one of the results of those audits, the operational review. And I'm going to go over the executive summary part of this today. Now, before I do that, I want to say if you saw Ben Hitchcock Cross discussing the audit on CBS News with AJ Byatport, I have linked that in our community, and I will also link it in the description here. It's a really good short summary of the big ideas that are captured in this audit, and it's been at its finest representing Milwaukee employees. So check that out, and I will also link this document in case you too want to stay cozied up to an audit on a cold winter day. At least it's cold here in Wisconsin at the moment. Okay, so here we are. We can see that this was just published, hot off the presses. The Milwaukee Public Schools Operational Review, and it is by the audit company MGT. As ordered by Governor Evers of Wisconsin, here's the complete index, and as I mentioned, I'm only going to go over the executive summary in this video, so I will take us through that now. Just for a little bit of overview, this report details an in-depth operational review of Milwaukee Public Schools. It's grounded in diagnostic analysis, stakeholder engagement, and benchmarking research. Through a focused root cause analysis, we identify critical challenges impacting the district's performance and offer actionable recommendations to address immediate concerns while laying the groundwork for sustainable long-term improvements. These recommendations align with a forward-looking vision that empowers MPS to enhance operational efficiency, strengthen outcomes, and drive meaningful progress for students. Now, this audit came out the day after MPS announced the new superintendent, which will begin on July 1st of 2025. So they conducted this massive, I should say, they hired a recruiting company to conduct a nationwide search that has been going on through the beginning of the school year to now, and when MPS announced that, this audit came out the very next day. So interesting timing. Kind of seems like maybe they waited to announce the person and then this came out, but I do believe this will be guiding that new superintendent's work drastically. So here are the areas that they focused on: stakeholder engagement. So they conducted interviews of MPS's internal departments, the MPS board, and the Department of Public Instruction. They did a diagnostic analysis of MPS provided materials. So they examined materials provided by MPS, identified gaps, strengths, and weaknesses, and cross-referenced findings with best practices. Now, what I like about this company too is they spend a lot of time in the back of this audit discussing their methodology, and I think that's really important to look at the methodology and to scrutinize the methodology. So, not just taking what is at face value, but understanding how did they come to make such conclusionary statements. So I just bring that up because I noticed it. Number 3, desk research on best practices. So again, they reviewed district operations, organization, strategic priorities, and communications for peer districts. And the peer districts they used as comparators were Indianapolis, Baltimore, Cleveland, and Philadelphia. And then they compiled key learnings from past projects. So aggregated insights from MGT's previous work and expertise involving district operations, documenting successful strategies and approaches that would be adapted or replicated in MPS. Okay, so this review identified critical issues stemming from leadership and staff turnover, fragmented planning, outdated systems, and unproductive reporting tools, protocols, which have led to siloed operations and inefficient practices. These challenges, compounded by a culture resistant to change, strained governance relationships, and inconsistent data practices, undermine the district's ability to function effectively and achieve its goals. Wow, does that sound familiar? Where have we heard this before? I'll tell you where we've heard it before. We've heard it from MPS whistleblowers. We've heard it from employees that have worked in MPS. We have heard it from families and parents and students. So thankfully now, there is finally a credible source, since all of those other stakeholders weren't enough. This is finally a credible source that people will take notice of, and perhaps there could be some action. All right, so you can also see that they have an appendix here. We won't go through that today, but again, these are all the pieces when you are trying to consume and glean from this work what needs to be done next. You have to look at those things. Let's look at the context here. Milwaukee Public Schools has faced ongoing challenges in consistently delivering high-quality education to its high-needs student population, with systemic issues compounding over decades. Proficiency rates sit at just 9% in math and 12% in reading. These are the lowest in recent history, the very lowest. Far below state and national averages, signaling a systemic failure to prioritize student outcomes. That is definitely what that shows. I mean, you almost can't get any lower failure rate than that. And so that is very concerning. And it signals to, why we see the depreciation in our city, in our city systems, because we have been failing for so long at this. The obstacles MPS faces can be attributed to both external and internal factors. And then they list them out. Here are the external factors: geographic and demographic shifts, which result in stalled population growth and significant enrollment declines over the last 6 years. Now, MPS has known about these enrollment declines, but they have not adjusted their budget at all. And so that is a big criticism for those that have been making budgetary decisions, because this has been identified even beyond 6 years. It's been the last 10 years. And Matt Chasen discusses that quite extensively with the board. Competitive school choice dynamics have pulled students away from the district. National teacher and staff shortages, felt acutely in urban Milwaukee, have strained the district's capacity to provide consistent, high-quality instruction and support services to students. I will say, too, that MPS contributes in a very big way to their staff shortages by the extreme mistreatment and discriminatory practices of many employees. And so they take the local population and they have put a lot of people on unemployment and have removed their capabilities to be employed because of their retaliatory nature and their discriminatory nature. MPS students disproportionately experience economic challenges, with over 80% of students classified as economically disadvantaged. And aging and outdated facilities present challenges for maintaining health, safe, and adequately equipped learning environments for students. And we have seen this in the news in recent days, because MPS has several MPS schools, Golda Meir, Kago, there's a couple more that have been named, have been linked to 14 times lead levels in water, which have now shown up in the health of students. And so that causal link has been identified. And it's even been even farther identified that MPS failed to take even basic cleaning and maintenance measures, which compounded these lead issues. So that is, a big problem. Internal factors: persistent leadership instability, including a series of superintendents with short tenures and revolving cabinet level leaders, have disrupted efforts to stabilize MPS. Very true. Plus, they actually seem to like people who do not have any historical knowledge, any institutional knowledge, because those individuals can offer, more system perspective, and they don't want to hear that. A long-standing culture of fear and reluctance to change, compounded by high turnover across the organization and recruitment challenge, have stalled or altogether prevented change-making efforts. I cannot emphasize this enough. The culture of fear is intense. There was a news story on the other day where whistleblowers were identified, were not identified, but they came forward, and the news people had to blur their voices and their, distort their voices and shoot them from the back. That is very real. If you are identified as a traitor or as someone who speaks out to the media, they will come for you. And they won't stop until they go through and find reasons why, and if they can't find them, they'll fabricate things against people who speak out. Ineffective reporting protocols and operational systems have hindered accountability and performance across departments. Ain't that the truth? And fiscal mismanagement, lack of honesty and transparency, and ineffective public communications have contributed to a lack of public trust. Hit the nail on the head. So now they get into the opportunity, and they mention how Governor Evers has recognized the urgent need for reform following intense public scrutiny around financial misreporting. Thank you for noticing. There are lots of groups who had to do a lot of work to get your attention for many years, and we were screaming for your help. So I will say at least someone took notice at some point. Could there have been actions taken before the community had to take a second $252 million referendum, which will never go away for taxpayers? Absolutely. The information was there prior to that. But now the taxpayers will have to carry that burden. So they commissioned an independent operational review of MPS conducted by MGT. This review analyzed the district's fiscal management, workflow, and organizational structures to uncover root causes and provide actionable solutions to restore stability and accountability. Let's remember, too, that now in MPS, the superintendent has left, the CFO has resigned, the head of HR has left, the chief of administration has left, and many other people in key cabinet positions have left. And to me, I'm glad, because we have to get rid of the cancerous culture of fear that stems right from the top down. So here's the incoming insights for the operational review and financial and academic audits. They are now positioning MPS in a unique way to adopt a fresh strategic direction. And so they said with strategic planning, the district can reprioritize a set of initiatives with clear measurable outcomes that align with the new insights and the incoming superintendent's vision. I mentioned that earlier. That's going to be key here. The district can set a strong foundation for sustainable successes by narrowing priorities and ensuring alignment. That has been a big part of what I have been saying for many years. This district is trying to do way too much by focusing on key objectives that enhance organizational effectiveness and alignment. Again, we have been saying this forever. It has been a major problem, and I'm so glad somebody's going to help them fix this. Goal 2, foster meaningful communication and collaboration. MPS should prioritize fostering meaningful communication and collaboration across departments within the district by taking actions that will build trust, transparency, and collaboration. Severely lacking right now. Severely. Goal 3, operate and fund strategically. MPS should prioritize operating and funding strategically by investing in strategies and systems that prepare the district for financial sustainability, operational efficiency, and long-term success. And so if they don't get these things reined in, the district is simply not going to be able to last longer. They are running on fumes right now. So they break these up even more into their findings and recommendations, but I'm not going to go through these today because I said I was just going to go through the executive order in this, the executive summary for the purposes of this video. Again, I will link some of the news articles and I will link this document, and I'll come back on and break down a little bit more in this audit, one of many that are coming from MGT per the governor. Thank you for listening. If you guys have to shovel, be safe and take breaks and stay warm. We'll see you next time.